Welcome to the Coach Potato Podcast, a podcast about. I'm not too sure what this podcast is about anymore. My name is Jessica Yee, and let's get into it. So, 2 weeks off, I went away to Vancouver for a beautiful couple's wedding, and then just took a little bit of a week to myself to reflect on life. If my voice sounds raspy and whatever, I don't know what's going on with my throat today, but it is what it is. And I don't know. We'll see how my voice goes. I don't know if it sounds sexy or not, but here we are. Yeah, so we went on a trip. So my husband and I have been together for about 11 years now. And this was actually our first trip together. I know that sounds weird, right? Like our first trip on a plane together, just us two. Going on a trip that was for us for once. Kind of weird. I feel like I learned a lot from that trip. It was literally 4 days, nothing too long. Vancouver's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Man, I would honestly love to move there if I could. I don't know much about the rain situation yet, or even thought about that, because apparently it is pretty intense when it rains, and very sad because it's just rain for days on end. But when we were there, the weather was beautiful, it was perfect, and I don't know, anyways, it just kind of got me thinking. So this podcast, today's episode is going to be kind of not everywhere, but it's going to be, it could be split up into 2 episodes realistically, but I'm going to put it all in one. So the first half, we're going to talk about my vacation and kind of what I learned. And essentially, we just had so much fun. We didn't do any work for once. I just took a step back and then did a little bit of social media, posting stories and stuff, so nothing crazy. But I essentially just posted my Brecca coffees, really. So Brecca is a cafe that's open 24/7 in Vancouver. It's basically on every block. It's awesome. And I bought some beans, so we're going to make that soon. But that's not the point. The point is we went on vacation finally for ourselves. We were really able to do what we wanted. We had time to just relax and not feel like this, or thinking about too many different things. It was kind of weird in a refreshing and good way. A few things I learned is I understand why my mom wants to go on, or wanted, she's not here, wanted to go on a lot of vacations before, kind of even just go away for the weekend. I never really understood it when I was younger, but when you have your own place, and I'm a homebody, I love being at home, but man, when you leave your own house and just, I don't know how to explain it. You don't have to worry about cleaning too much. Obviously, you don't want to be a mess in an Airbnb or whatever, but you don't have to worry about cleaning so much. You don't have to worry about this. You don't have to worry about, I don't know how to explain it. It's just it's actually an escape. So I understand, now I finally understand where my mom was coming from, because I personally wasn't a big fan of traveling when I was younger. Scared of planes, homebody, I'm just such a Edmonton person. There's so much in Edmonton that I like. So that was different, and I understand because you're not seeing every single thing wrong with your house, and you're not stressing about that. Or when you are home, you do have more of a work mindset no matter what. Yeah, you can turn it off, but it's really difficult to do. So that was my first one. I understand, I just get why leaving the house, or leaving even just Edmonton in general, felt really good. I haven't felt that refreshed and relaxed coming home in a long time. Second thing, obviously, Vancouver will tempt you to move there. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. The lifestyle looks great. Everyone just looks happy. And obviously, as a tourist, it's very different than if you were to actually live there, or it can be, right? But man, we were tempted to just move. Sometimes, we just had such a good time that we were you know what? I'm going to drop everything here and move. That's obviously not smart, especially with me and my training business and Aaron just starting out his real estate career here in Edmonton. That is not a smart decision at all. But we did seriously talk about it. We're like, maybe we'll just drop everything for about a year, rent out our townhouse for a bit. But it doesn't make sense. Our friends are here, our family's here, our work is here, our lives are here. This is our home. And I was born and raised in Edmonton, and this is my life, this is my home. And sometimes, obviously, the temptation to drop everything and go somewhere and go away to not see anyone ever again or anything like that is very tempting. Like giving yourself that actual space from, I don't know, your problems, like a physical barrier in a way. That's not going to necessarily change anything. You still have to deal with a lot of emotional things with yourself inside. And then if there are any conflicts or issues outside of you that are external, you still have to deal with it, even if you are 12 hours away, like driving wise. So physical location change is not gonna help anybody. I don't know how many times I've like wanted to just drop everything and run when I was overwhelmed or am overwhelmed. It's not healthy, and the problems are just gonna come right back up if you don't deal with it properly. So we were talking about wanting to move there or the temptation to. So yeah, we talked about it seriously. Erin was even looking at rental properties. Obviously, after COVID, rental is through the roof. And I think he found a 1-bed, 1-bath for $2,400 close to English Bay Beach or something. I can't remember the square footage, but I'm sure it's pretty small. And we pay way less than that for our townhouse here. That is 3-bedroom and 2.5 bath. So that contrast is pretty huge. But when you think about living somewhere, I've realized, because of this trip, that you have to think about the lifestyle or where you're at or where location-wise that you what kind of lifestyle you want to live. And this whole balancing your living costs compared to, I guess, where you want, okay, so when we think about Vancouver, obviously everyone knows the housing market, everything is really rent and everything is really, really expensive. It's crazy expensive. So everyone's like, I wish I could live in Vancouver, but it's so expensive, or blah, blah, blah. But it's the housing's expensive. I get that. No, 100%, I get that. The trade-off that you may get, like I said, I haven't really been there when it was rainy every single day. But the trade-off that you can potentially get is such a beautiful city, air that's right by the ocean. You get these beautiful beaches that Edmonton doesn't necessarily have right there. You have a great downtown for the most part, and seems like there's a lot of benefits, right? So in general, not necessarily for Vancouver, but let's say you are thinking about moving somewhere and it is expensive. It's not always just obviously you have to have the money to live there. And yeah, everything's quite expensive, but it's not just about that. You have to assess what you actually want out of life. Do you want a big house, or would you rather, live in something that's 500 square feet, but then you have the lifestyle that you've always dreamed and aspired to be or to have, or maybe it's worth the dream job switch, whatever it might be. I think as a society, we're just so conditioned to having the big mansion, the $1 million, I don't know, $1 million houses, and 5 rooms, 4 washrooms for no reason. And if that's your dream, great, awesome. But not everyone has that dream, and we have to understand that if someone does move somewhere and it's really expensive, then it's they probably are trading it off for the food, the lifestyle, or something like that. We don't know. So that's something I learned is it's not always about the house. It's not always about how big the house is or whatever it might be. Honestly, if let's say we were to move and the rain wasn't as bad as people were saying, I think it is, from what a lot of people have said, I could if I could find something that's similar to this price point, I would like to move there, I guess. But then there's gas, right? But then there's the other option where if you are downtown, you don't really need a car. So there's all these trade-offs when you move somewhere. So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting shift in my mind, I guess. Is because like I grew up thinking you just need a big house, and then yeah, that's it. Like a lot of your pay, not necessarily should go to housing, but that you've made it if you have a big house and then you go travel and stuff. But that's not always the case for everyone, and that made me realize, like going to Vancouver and then understanding like how expensive things are, made me realize, you know what? We don't need a lot of space. Like I came home to our home and there's like a good amount of space. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but I felt a little bit unhappy or understood like I don't need all this space. I don't need all this stuff. Like I want to start to really understand and experience life and travel more. That's going to be the next thing that I learned, and I'll talk about that in a second. But essentially, what this kind of triggered in our brains was Aaron and I don't really want a big house. Like we were like, damn. Like our house is not big. I think it's like 1,200 square feet. And I'm like, dang, I want to downsize. I'm unhappy with the amount of space I have. It's too much to clean. And if I am like tempted even a little bit to live in a 1 bedroom, 1 washroom, kind of like 500 square foot apartment and pay that much, why do I need to live in something this big here? So essentially we talked about it and we're like, we should downsize. But obviously we want to downsize in a smarter way. And yeah, we're in the works with that. So maybe me and Erin can talk about our future plans on this podcast one day, but that won't be today. But we would like to maybe downsize or like put that money towards traveling or experiences rather than just our housing costs. So that's another thing. We want to stay in Edmonton, but we don't need something that's kind of big. We just need something that we're happy with and comfortable with. Yeah, so that's another thing I learned. Next thing, like traveling is great. Traveling with your partner, wow, it's different. Kind of a pain at the same time. But it's like a great experience. I might like. I'm just thinking like it's so weird because like when we were dating when we were like 17, 18 or whatever, and just like I've always wanted to like travel with him, just the two of us, and then like literally 10 years later, because of a lot of things and obviously the pandemic, we finally got to go on a little trip together and it was so fun. I don't want to admit this, but I didn't think about Kikai that much on those 4 days, which is very, very weird. So Kikai's my dog, and like that's very unheard of when I go traveling. I'm like on my phone waiting for photos every time I travel of my dog. But going with him, I don't know what happened, but it was just so nice and I didn't think about her at all. I mean, obviously I still did and I love her still, but dang, it was weird. I felt a little bit like a little refresh in our relationship, I guess you could say. That's not a bad thing to admit. I think it's just the truth. Like we were able to experience something kind of new together and it was super fun. But yeah, that's basically my trip, what I learned from my vacation. I do think that we need to probably travel more and experience life a little bit outside of here. Obviously, money is always going to be a bigger issue for a bit. So we'll see where our plans go. Like I said, I want to move this money into more of a traveling or experience fund. Not saying we have to go on like amazing big trips and whatever, but I mean, it was $80 for us to go to Vancouver and I was more than happy with that. But it would be nice to have the fund, go on go to somewhere new together and like experience life again and like allow yourself to take life in again. But that is the end of the first portion of this episode. This second part is about imposter syndrome. and how to value yourself. So, I'm going through a little bit of an identity crisis. I mean, I go through these every few months, questioning my life, questioning my career, questioning where I am, what I'm doing. Dang, my throat. Ugh. I don't know where I'm landing, honestly. I love what I do. I love who I help. I love this lifestyle of fitness and strength training and all of this. Of course I do. And it's been my whole life. I've been in this industry for maybe 6 years now. And then obviously it's okay to want to explore other things too. On top of that, the biggest thing that I've been learning lately is you don't need to choose one. It could be a mix of things. If like the problem is I grew up thinking you do one thing, that's who you are, that's what you will be all the way until you retire. And that's a lot of pressure on like some sort of 18-year-old who has to just be like, okay, graduated, still basically a kid, going to university. I'm going to be this for the rest of my life and not anything else. And that's me. Like, I've been in this field and I still want to be in this field, but I thought if I wanted to try something else, then I felt guilty and I'm like, maybe I am putting less of myself in this field. That's not necessarily true. I'm just adding more to my plate in a different way. So essentially, I'm questioning myself as a trainer or as like a coach or, in the physical fitness kind of rehab world. Questioning myself so much. I thought when you go to school, you will just graduate and have the confidence of your degree. So I have a bachelor kinesiology degree from the U of A. That's pretty good, right? You would think you would come out of that very confident, but you don't really know a lot of skills. Things were somewhat hands-on, and like, it's just like, oh, you still have a lot to learn. And then on top of that, you have a lot of other skills or certifications you can get to prove to others in your industry and to potential clients that you are competent and capable of helping them through specific things. Let's say just mobility. Let's say high performance athletes, like specifically, or you might need to go to more school, like physiotherapy, chiro, or athletic therapy, in order to be able to do other specific things. So essentially, I've been feeling stuck, very tempted to go back to school, but I don't think that's going to help how I'm feeling, if that makes sense. Essentially, what am I trying to say here? I feel like no matter the degree, no matter the certifications I have, no matter the experience, no matter who I talk to and learn from, I feel like I'll never be enough as a trainer or coach, to be honest. I guess own my own business now for like 2-ish years or more, where it's just me. I work at an amazing gym with amazing people, and I learn so much from them. And then I think internally I'm like, wow, I respect everyone so much. They know what they're doing, and they're doing it differently than me, and like in a good way, and it's fine. I have my own ways too. And I'm like, am I good enough? You know what I mean? And then now I have to like set my own prices of how I charge someone, like how much I charge someone per session for about an hour. And it's like, will anyone want to see me for X amount of dollars for the hour? And like, if I do too little, then I just get like, I'm like, am I not good enough? But then if I do too much, then there's this pressure of like, am I worth that amount? And then it's like this circle. And then also, not only that, there's this thing of physical appearance as well. Oh, physical appearance. Oh. I'm so insecure, and like I want to do more content online, but I don't want to put my body out there. Like I'm so insecure about my body. It's probably from when I was younger, but like some sort of trauma thing that I haven't dealt with. But my confidence is so low. So it goes back to like if I'm not posting anything, obviously I might not get any clients. And then if I have no clients, then I'm like, "Oh, I'm not good enough." And then if I'm not good enough, then if I do have a client, I charge them way less than I should, and then I feel bad about myself. Or then it's just a cycle of this. And like in my head, man, like it's all over the place. Like I want to create content online for fitness, self-development, whatever it might be. I want to try new things. I want to learn and get creative and do new things. But what's stopping me is how I view myself in the mirror. Like I don't like the imposter syndrome thing is like I don't feel like because I don't look a certain way or like how a lot of the females look online, it makes me feel like, man, I have no like I'm not smart enough to train anyone. Why should people come to me? And it's like it goes back and forth and back and forth, and it's like, do you even value yourself? And it's like then you remind yourself, you did 4-year degree. You were in school for 6 years trying to do it, and you have like X amount of certifications. You are more than capable or more than worthy to charge an X amount, or you are smart enough, and that's the facts. You don't need to have a six pack. You don't need to have, I don't know. You just need to give value to people and not pick apart whether it's perfectionism of your content that you post or perfectionism of your body. Like, I'm not going to film today even though it's scheduled on my schedule because I am bloated and I don't want to look bloated on my video. Things like that should not stop me or stop if you're relating to this, whether it's in your own career, shouldn't stop you from doing what you need to do. But yeah, clearly these podcasts don't really have a script. I don't even have bullet points in front of me. I'm like, okay, here's a topic and I'm going to talk about it. And it just like most episodes I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow, what am I saying? As in like, there's a lot to unpack here and I need to fix this somehow or work through it. Not necessarily fix it. Just there's stuff that needs to be done and worked on. And it's like, Anyways, when it comes to imposter syndrome in general, here's my little takeaway for you. Remind yourself that you are capable and you don't necessarily need X amount of certificates or education to do what you're doing. Obviously, there's going to be some things you need a degree or some sort of education to do, like be a doctor or a lawyer. You can't just do that. A lot of people are not ready to do that next step because they feel like they need this certification, this education, and to help or do what they're passionate in or to help others in general. Another thing is remind yourself you are worthy of a certain price point. Whatever your job is, if it's a salary, you are worthy of that salary every year. You are worthy of a raise possibly if you feel like you need it. If you are someone like me, like maybe a psychologist, and you have to charge an hourly fee, you are worthy of that hourly fee. You just because you maybe just started or lack experience, you need the experience, and obviously change the pricing as you get more experience and as you feel more confident. Another thing, don't let your physical appearance or the sound of your voice or whatever it might be to stop you from doing that thing or to stop you from providing or helping and creating content for others or I'm trying to make this as general as I can in terms of careers, but just learning how to be and working on the inside of how to be more confident in yourself will take you a long way and help with imposter syndrome and how valuable you are to society. So I hope that helped, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you have a specific topic you want me to talk about, whether it relates to fitness, rehab, or just general wellness or self-development, or just something you're just kind of interested in, just DM me or at It's Jessica Yee on Instagram, and I'd love to talk about it. Thank you for listening,